Hey, thank you for tuning in to Instrumental Intel. I am your host, music producer Chick with Beats, and I'm glad that you're with me today. I got another show lined up for you with music industry news, beats produced by me for your inspiration. And I got a special guest, Sappy of Sappy Makes Playlists, is coming to join me later to talk about the art of storytelling via playlists. So it's going to be a great time. Of course, I got to give a shout out to my home station, Grander Radio, out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I'd like to shout out the brand new online bookstore, DylanandCo.com. Tons of stories that cater to people of color. Tons of great stuff. Fiction, nonfiction, whatever you need, it's right there. So make sure that you check that out. And with that, let's go. Starting back with the Music Biz Brief, first up, Warner Music Group announced a leadership overhaul at Atlantic Music Group, with Elliot Grange stepping in as CEO on October 1st. The company says the new structure will combine key functions from the labels like Atlantic Records, 300, and Elektra, centralizing artist development services. Key appointments include Craig Kalman as Chief Music Officer, Zach Friedman as COO, and Tony Talamo as General Manager. WMG added that this reorganization is intended to quote-unquote foster creativity and strengthen artist support. However, Atlantic Music Group also laid off 150 staff members and dropped several artists from its roster. Warner Music Group has also updated its layoff details in an SEC filing after the reorganization of Atlantic Music Group. So they now expect to save $260 million annually, which was up from the $200 million that they were expecting to save, with severance and related costs projected at about $150 million, which was an increase from the $85 million they were expecting to pay. The total number of employees laid off has risen to 750 compared to the 600 announced earlier this year. And in even more Warner Music Group news, they're shutting down their self-releasing artist platform, Level Music, by 2025. It launched in 2018 and provided digital distribution to major streaming services like Spotify and social media platforms like TikTok. In an email to users, WMG confirmed it will no longer accept new content or edits and will take down existing releases by November this year. The move aligns with Warner's focus on its independent label services brand ADA. Level users are urged to transfer their music to another distributor before the platform ceases operations in July of 2025. Alright, and Universal Music Group is seeing some staff changes too. David Joseph, a longtime chairman and CEO of Universal Music UK, has announced his departure from Universal Music Group after 26 years. Joseph has been at the helm since 2008. He oversaw the global success of artists like Amy Winehouse, Stormzy, and more. In his farewell note, he expressed gratitude for his career and revealed his next chapter would be pursuing a master's in religion and theology. Universal Music Group has announced his successor, Dickon Stainer. For the past decade, I have to call him Mr. Stainer because I doubt my maturity to be able to say his name multiple times through this, but he's held the position of president and CEO and UMG's Global Classics and Jazz division, working between London and New York. Now, Island EMI Label Group, Polydor Label Group, Decca Records, and Abbey Road Studios are among the divisions that will report to him. Global Music Rights, or GMR, a pro founded by Irving Azoff, has struck a multi-billion-dollar deal with private equity firm Hellman & Friedman, valuing GMR at $3.3 billion. Azoff will retain a stake, while TPG, his previous co-owner, has cashed out. GMR is known for representing major artists like Harry Styles, Drake, and Bruce Springsteen, and is a licensing and collection society that has aggressively pursued legal action for proper royalty payments. This transaction follows a trend of high-profile music rights deals, including BMI's sale earlier this year. Next up, TikTok has announced it will shut down its TikTok music streaming service worldwide on November 28th, ending its presence in Indonesia, Brazil, Australia, Singapore, and Mexico. The company is shifting its focus to the Add to Music app feature, which allows users to save songs discovered on TikTok to playlists on services like Spotify and Apple Music. This decision aligns with TikTok's strategy of partnering with streaming platforms rather than competing with them directly, aiming to boost music consumption and benefit artists in the industry. Okay, Matchtune has unveiled a new tool capable of identifying AI-generated music from Suno, achieving 90% accuracy in tracking tracks produced by the platform. This development is crucial in the ongoing discussion about the ethics of AI in music creation, particularly regarding copyright infringement and the rights of original creators. By recognizing unique patterns in Suno's output, Matchtune aims to protect artists from unauthorized copies and ensure compliance in music licensing for brands. The company is now working on similar detection methods for other AI music tools, sparking essential conversations about ownership and fairness in an industry increasingly influenced by AI technology. Sound Exchange is developing a global AI registry for sound recording creators and rights owners set to launch in early 2025. The registry will allow creators to reserve their rights against AI training models. While not required by US law, this tool will help ensure proper handling of music by AI companies. The initiative aims to protect intellectual property and simplify music industry processes, utilizing Sound Exchange's vast ISRC database to centralize consent for AI model training. Mixcloud has acquired Encore, a leading European online music marketplace, marking a significant milestone in its 15th year. Encore connects musicians with clients seeking live acts, facilitating over 50,000 bookings and helping artists earn £25 million through live performances. This acquisition aligns with Mixcloud's mission to support musicians by building tools for growth and monetization. Encore will continue operating independently, while Mixcloud's co-founder, Nikhil Shah, joins as chairman to guide its next phase. Both companies say they aim to provide more opportunities and resources for musicians worldwide. Alright, and YouTube has announced Communities, a new feature allowing creators and subscribers to interact more deeply on a creator's channel, similar to a built-in Discord server. Fans can now share their own content and engage with other viewers, going beyond just commenting on videos. Currently available only to subscribers, Communities aims to foster deeper connections around shared interests. YouTube is testing this feature with a small group of creators and plans to expand it in 2025. YouTube has also introduced Hype, a new feature designed to help smaller channels under 500,000 subscribers gain more visibility. Viewers can, quote, hype their favorite videos within the first 7 days of release, helping them climb a leaderboard. Each user gets 3 hypes per week, with smaller channels earning more points per hype. This tool empowers fans to support emerging creators and increase their exposure. YouTube plans to expand the feature with potential options for paid hypes that share revenue with creators. Alright, and that does it for this week's Music Biz Brief. I'm going to take a quick pause for the cause, and I'll be back with my special guest, Sappy Makes Playlist, right after this. Keep it locked. Hey, I'm a chick with beats, multi-genre music producer and strategist to indie artists and labels. Visit achickwithbeats.com for resources for artists and instrumentals in various genres available for songs, vlogs, blogs, podcasts, themes, TV, film, commercials, and more. Once again, that's achickwithbeats.com. That's ACHICKWITBEATZ.com. Let's make something happen. Thank you so much for tuning in to Instrumental Intel. I am your host, music producer, Chick with Beats, and I'm happy to say that I have in the virtual building with me today, Sappy Makes Playlists. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. How you doing today?
Good. And so, since this is audio, everybody can't see that you rocking the Hyro hat right there. So could you tell us a little bit about your love for music and how you got into playlisting?
My love for music starts with my dad. I grew up in a house where he introduced me to all the old sounds. So I was born in '79. A lot of what he grew up with was '50s music. So whether it was the soul music primarily that he had me coming up with, but as I got older, he started to introduce Latin and jazz music to me, and that's really what got my ear started. So when all of the other kids were listening to Metallica and the things that were popular on Z100 back home, I was trying to listen to more of what my dad had, and Weird Al Yankovic. That's what I listened to.
All right, yeah, man, that man has done so much work. Great work. Okay, so I guess with that kind of being your basis, it kind of explains some of the knowledge that you have behind some of the playlists and stuff that you put together. Can you tell us a little bit about that? So, does the playlist kind of make itself in your mind, like the way your mind works? Or how do you kind of get into that gear to decide exactly what the playlist is going to be?
Yeah, my mind works in scary ways. So trying to sort through, it depends on my mood. Sometimes I'll be super focused. So as you and I were getting ready for this chat, I started to listen to instrumental hip hop and really focusing on beats. And I made like a master backlog file of all the instrumental songs that I enjoyed. And in theory, that would have been the playlist. Okay, great, I'll share this. But then I start setting too much criteria to try and set like the perfect vibe, the perfect mood. So then it starts becoming a question of, is it just beats? Is it beats with samples? Is it beats with scratching? Is it a funky sound? Is it a jazzy sound? And am I even trying to make it consistent across the board? Or am I trying to create whatever vibe I'm in the mood for? Depends.
Yeah, okay. Well, that explains why, your playlists have such feeling in them, especially in this age where now I'm starting to see a lot of articles and even, social listening on various platforms where people are complaining about Spotify in particular with the algorithm, so to speak. It's almost like with the way that they have it set up, it's taking the humanness out of it, and people are feeling less satisfied to just hit that shuffle button and let it do what it does.
Yeah, and it also doesn't get into the storytelling that you want. So let's just say, for example, that I made Sappy 22 volume 41, right? That one is all hip hop, all driven by piano. So every single song, the focus is piano alongside the beat, alongside the lyrics. And you don't get that via an algorithm. You're going to get songs that sound different. You can't filter with the specific criteria of what you're looking for. And Spotify has those abilities, right? Any platform has the ability to let you filter, but that's not their intent. It's to go ahead and promote what they think you would like. But what also gets me with the algorithms is uh, repetition of the same artist. So if I'm making a playlist, most of the time I don't want to have the same producer on that playlist. I don't want to have the same vocalist on that playlist. And that's what keeps on getting presented to you when you have the algorithm in Spotify and you do the recommended songs. You're never going to get that specific vibe you're trying to capture in that moment.
Yeah, man, that's an excellent point. Because, yeah, the repetition is just, that was one of the things that kind of drove me from the platform when I was using it to listen to music in general. But, I mean, yeah, what you said there about it's not going to tell a story. I think that that's something that people know something is missing, but they don't know what it is. I think you just hit it on the head to kind of give, I guess, texture to what people have been feeling.
Yeah, exactly. And the story, it's about what your mood could be. The story could be every single pop hit from the year 2000. Those exist. Those are the playlists that you see all over the place. But you also see when individual fans or music lovers are making their playlists on Spotify. You go through, and even though it might be different than the hits that Spotify or Apple is putting out there, everyone's still making the same playlist using the same songs. And Christmas time, that really gets me. Like the accuracy at the same time of, is this song really about Christmas? So Clarence Carter with Backdoor Santa. That's on all of the playlists. It has nothing to do though with the actual holidays. He's just kind of being a scumbag and giving kids money while he makes relationships with their parents. But yeah, I like the accuracy of the story that you're trying to tell as well. If this song is about winter and Christmas experiences, let it be about that.
Right. Man, what an excellent point. Okay, if we could kind of backtrack a little bit,
Are you laughing at me saying making relations?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's hilarious.
I was like, how do I actually say it? I think I said relationships, but yeah, making relations. It makes it like funny and awkward.
Yeah. So yeah, if we could kind of backtrack a little bit to where you mentioned putting together the instrumental hip hop playlists, a few moments ago. What did you end up deciding as far as, is it sample based or?
Yeah, it is sample and beat based, right? So the beat that I'm trying to capture is by the producer of the song. That those aren't sampled themselves; it's created by the producer, and then from there, pulling in some of the sampling. I stayed away from any scratching in this case, and also avoided any vocals in this mix as well, because when you start talking about instrumental versions of hip hop songs, you have the hook that is still sung along in the instrumental version. So do you want that? Do you want a little tiny vibe with vocals, or are you looking to not hear any voices and just totally sink into the vibe that you initially started to look for?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that that's an interesting way to do it, just because I think a lot of maybe casual fans don't even really notice the difference. So, I think that your knowledge and your love for it has to be reflected in that, in the way that you choose to set everything up. So, okay, you mentioned some of the stuff that you grew up with that your dad kind of got you started with. What are some songs that you feel kind of shaped maybe your teen years, the whole adolescence phase and all that?
I don't know if I can tell you specific songs, but I can definitely tell you the artist. So so as much as I'm into hip hop, and I know we're talking about those beats, my dad brought me up on the soul. I think that's what got me into hip hop quite a bit. That I was familiar with the samples when I finally started to have access to more and more. But before, I was a real hip hop head, it was all about punk rock for me. I grew up not too far outside New York City, and I was really lucky to have access to lots of great shows by New York hardcore and punk rock bands, and I was really into the New York ska scene as we're talking about the
Mm.
late '90s. I it was those bands. So Sick of It All is my favorite hardcore band of all time. And if anyone is familiar with them, Lou Kohler, their singer, he's fighting cancer right now. So feel free to try and look up his GoFundMe, as Lou has been there for so many people like me. I was a kid and angsty, and he said everything that I was feeling inside, or helping me, right, open up my mind a little bit more. So a band like Sick of It All, very, very meaningful. The Mighty Mighty Bosstones, they're actually the band that started to put it all together for me and my friends. I was really into ska. They were in the Clueless movie, and I kind of latched onto them. They had like a annual festival called the Hometown Throwdown, and it was at the Middle East in Cambridge, Massachusetts, right outside Boston. And they'd have 5 shows, 5 nights in a row, and I think like there was 2 shows on Sunday, something like that. And for years, we went to a lot of those shows. So just like the Bosstones, through those shows alone, I think I saw 15 times. But
Wow.
then it's the various genres of bands that they had for opening support, whether it's a traditional ska jazz band, whether it's a punk rock or a hardcore band. Back then, it was even Dropkick Murphys were
Mm.
opening for them. So just, I learned so much music, the punk rock side of it, the ska, the reggae, that's all because of the Bosstones.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. You mentioned the being in the Clueless movie. I had seen the movie so many times that I could actually sing along with the songs
Oh,
as they were
great.
performing.
Uh,
Yeah.
but that's kind of that's the punk reggae side of what really impacted me and influenced me. I My brother, for the most part, from another mother, he introduced me to Del the Funky Homo Sapien in the fall of 1993. So I wish my brother George was here. I think it was already out for a year or two at that point, but I wasn't familiar with it at all. And I heard Mr. Davalina, I heard Dr. Bombay, and it was literally life changing. I remember dubbing the cassette right there on the spot at my parents' house. I can picture it now. And then he was the one who really started to, my buddy Aaron, he started to open me up to more and more. So it started with Dell, but then he looked for Souls of Mischief. And next thing you know, we were ordering the B-side tapes and the oldies tapes off of the old HyroImperium.com website. And that's where I started to go underground a little bit more. And then between my friend and I, you keep on connecting all the dots of, oh, who's this MC who's not a part of Hyro? All right, great, we're going to listen to them. And then it was the same experience as it got later into the 90s, where I had the access to so many different shows. I would go see whichever MC or group that I wanted to check out. But then I would learn so much more through all their openers, which is why old people like me now still have to go to shows on time when they actually start, because you want to catch those openers. That's how you keep on discovering more and more music. So I got lucky, like I said, with the access to the number of shows, but I owe it all to my friend Aaron for introducing me to Dell. It was life changing.
Amazing. So, okay, with that being said, do you think that I guess with music being so close and that, like right at the tip of everyone's fingertips at all times, do you think that kind of curiosity is still there? Like I think coming up in the 90s, we kind of had an advantage because when you heard something, you basically had to stick with it. Or if you went out and bought that CD for, that 17, $18, and maybe you initially
Oh no,
only
I
like
was
two.
I was dollar bin.
Okay.
I would go for like the used ones from whatever came out the few years before. That's how I got
Okay.
like a collection of literally what 3,000 something CDs that I still have. Some of them are up on the wall in my house. But yes, I still you get stuck with the expensive ones. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna listen to every track whether I like it or not.
Yeah, because I feel like that kind of gave us room to let stuff grow, where nowadays we don't really have that. So, um, gosh, I know anybody listening will probably tear me up for admitting this on
Can't
record, but
wait. What are you gonna say?
well, Velvet Rope. So let me say this: when that CD came out, the
Okay.
first song that I heard was "Get Lonely." I kind of thought the rest of the vibe was going to be that way. So I was a
Can
little
can you sing for me? So for as much as I know about music, I have no idea what
Oh,
Velvet
I'm
Rope.
sorry. Janet Jackson's Velvet Rope
Oh,
CD.
got you. So R&B, that's like the one genre that like I struggle with. I have such a hard time getting into 70s through today. It's just not
Really?
my thing.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I couldn't tell you about Janet.
Yeah. So, yeah, some people listening might be like, what? Are you serious? But initially, I mean, that song was so different compared to the rest of the album. So
Okay.
I was kind of disappointed. But I mean, back then, minimum wage was like 4.25 or something like that, 5.15. I stuck with it because I had spent, my little tiny paycheck from the after school job that I had on it. Then it started growing me. I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing here. But, if we fast forward to today, if there's a new album that comes out, if songs don't grab you, you can skip it so quickly and you haven't really lost anything. And I feel like people don't really take the time anymore to let stuff sit and kind of marinate.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So for the amount of playlists that I put out there, there's even that conflict that I have of I'm telling my story and that's why I'm sharing the playlist, but it doesn't share the artist's story of song by song by song. And you're not supposed to listen to this by itself. You're definitely not supposed to listen to it bookended by these other groups or MCs, whoever it might be. I I do every single album that I listen to it from beginning to end with a more open ear than I've ever had before. Because as the
Mm.
years have gone on, you start knowing the exact sounds that hit for you and the ones that just kind of stab you a little bit.
Mm.
Especially with hip hop, right? The repetitive, whatever the beat is, if there's a little part of it that I'm not feeling, the rhymes might be great, but that song's
Yeah.
just not for me because there's that one little thing. But I've listened to so much and I really critique it and ask myself, all right, why don't you like this? And then from there, that positively impacts whatever playlist that I'm making because now it gets me up to speed a little bit quicker. Of the
Mm.
oh yeah, here's the vibe that I'm looking for. Nope, exclude that sound at least on this mix maybe. Like
Okay.
sirens, I hate sirens in songs.
Mm.
And a lot of 90s hip hop has
Yeah,
sirens.
it really does. I know, like, I remember my parents kind of complaining sometimes when, it'd be playing on the radio. And like, wait, I thought that was a real one and it's in the song. And I didn't fully understand it until I got older and started driving. And I'm like, oh, this is what they meant. Like,
Yep.
yeah, this is kind of jarring, but yeah, so it's really interesting. So even if the lyrics are on point, if there's something in the beat you're not feeling, it's just not happening.
Yeah, exactly. But when I was younger, it was this sucks. This isn't good because it doesn't sound like that previous album, or it doesn't have the feel or consistent or 10 for 10.
Mm.
So back then, right, I would give a negative review, right, to my friends. I didn't write reviews. But I came off as very like only my sound is good, the only my MCs that I like. But I realized how wrong I was because I started to listen closer, appreciate the rhymes that were coming from other MCs, but realizing that okay, it's just me. I don't like the beat, but I appreciate them, and I can't say that they suck as a rapper anymore. And
Mm.
I should have never said it to begin with. It just wasn't my thing.
Yeah. I think that takes some time in order to be able to realize that.
Yeah, I'm 45 now. It's just hit over like the last 4 years.
Yeah, like, because, I kind of felt the same way about certain things. And I notice now, and again, this is, just from seeing stuff online, if people have a favorite rapper and not everybody likes them, they get really, really sensitive about it. And it's like,
Yep.
somebody can be really good, but maybe, that particular song isn't that great. It's okay to admit it. Doesn't mean that you don't like them, but,
Yeah,
you know,
it's just not meant for you, and that's the mindset of the music, and it's actually Yassine Bey, Most Def,
mm,
and Talib. I've seen the most amount of quotes from them seemingly of I didn't make this for you as a fan. I made this for me. So if you
mm,
want to go ahead and go off on it, you're doing that. But this music's made for me. I'm doing it for myself.
right.
And it took a while, right, as a fan to just understand that and not, like I said, kind of crap over the entire album itself. It's just like, all right, cool. Happy they liked it. I'm not the intended audience for that one. That's cool.
Right. See, and that's the thing, because that's been my favorite thing to say lately when people ask me about certain stuff, and I don't want to knock it. It's just I don't think I was in their target demographic.
Yeah,
So,
there you go. I like it.
yeah, and because there are a lot of present day rap songs that are out that I don't necessarily care for, but sometimes I can see their purpose. So, like, I'm not gonna call it trash if I can see who it's benefiting and kind of get the logic behind it. No, I'm not gonna play it myself, but at the same time, yeah, I'm not gonna trash them just because they're doing something. If everybody made the same type of music, I think it would just be horrible. We're seeing a lot of that in mainstream, to be honest. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, and I have a lot of friends who were like, "Oh, you think that you're too cool because you don't listen to." No, like I love the hits. They're fun to listen to, but I like to dig deeper, and I just want to know more. All I want to do is listen to music all day, every day.
Yeah. Well, I think even the fact that I asked about songs that you felt kind of shaped you, and the fact that you could actually point to the artist instead of the song shows a deeper connection. And I don't think a lot of people are necessarily doing that on this level, like nowadays, present day. But I feel like it does give you a better understanding, I guess, once you're actually doing that research that I hope eventually more people will take the time to do. Of course, we're seeing a whole lot of shifting going on in mainstream right now between Warner and like all the big labels. So, there's definitely something on the horizon. But yeah, hopefully it's more diversity in sounds. I would definitely appreciate that. But okay, most of the people who listen to this podcast tend to be independent artists. And
Okay.
playlisting is one of those things that, it can be very helpful unless you've got a distributor that's, letting your stuff get taken down because they claim that it's fraudulent. But, for the most part, it can be helpful. So I guess what advice would you have to any artists out there listening, trying to figure out how to get playlisted, not necessarily by you, but just in general, for the whole process?
I They should follow any account like mine, right? Not saying follow me, but
Oh, but you should follow him just for the record.
I
But yeah.
sure. But I what happens when someone follows my page, even if I don't know their music, I'm following them right back at this point. Because now it's going to come up in my feed, and maybe I'm going to discover new sounds, or I'm going to be able to articulate why the new sounds don't work for me. And and then from there, send them. If it's somebody like me who is making playlists and sharing them, ask, right? It doesn't hurt to say, hey, would you consider putting my song on? Now, where I feel a little weird is when I don't do it, right? Because I want to be a good
Mm,
guy, and any independent musician, I want to help them out. But if I am not feeling it, it almost feels disingenuous for me to put it out there. So that's where I've still been trying to figure out, like, how do we work together for somebody like me? Right, this is fun, right? So Instagram page or my playlisting. It is just a hobby. I'm not trying to do anything else in life with it. But if I can help somebody out, that's awesome. But at the same time, I don't want to be disrespectful, and I haven't figured out that tact yet. Of all right, yeah, this just isn't me. And is it okay to tell an independent musician that, or are they going to take offense? But just through this chat that we've had so far, I'm really thoughtful of why I don't like it at this point. And it has nothing to do with them, and it has everything to do with me.
Wow. That's awesome. That's a gem. That will probably be the sound bite. But
What'd I say?
So much. But yeah, I mean, so, that's actually kind of a good point to let artists know that it doesn't necessarily mean that there's something wrong with your music. It's just, it's not for that particular person. So I think that that's something that you kind of learn after a while as an artist. It still might sting a little bit at first, but once you kind of get over that initial jolt, like, what, the whole world doesn't like, this effort that I put into this, then you can just move on. It's perfectly fine. So yeah, I think
it goes back to the comments that I made a little while ago, where I understand, and I hope that an independent musician is really thinking this. It's for them. That they're creating something that feels special to them, that moved them, that gave them a memory that they can go ahead and reminisce on. And yeah, hopefully other people like it, but you don't want to start making something that's not you. Just like I don't want to share a playlist that's not me, because like I said, it feels disingenuous to do something like that. So yeah, for any independent artist to really realize that no matter what, be proud of what they created.
That's awesome. So, time is running short. I really appreciate you taking the time to come out and have this discussion. I really hope that this could just be the first of many, and that I could have you back on again.
Sounds great. Yeah, this is fun. I can clearly talk all day, which is either a good thing or the worst. It depends on who I'm talking to.
It's a great thing, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing this again. But before I let you go, I want to make sure that everybody knows everywhere they can follow you: socials, Spotify, all that good stuff.
All right. So my name is Sappy. Real name is Brian, but play off my last name. I've gone by Sappy since I was 10 years old. So pretty basic. Sappy makes playlists, and that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm sharing. So that's the name of my Instagram account. It's the same thing with my Spotify account, Apple Music, and Tidal. I haven't really started to mess with YouTube much. I don't know if I should or not, but yeah, I have it on there too.
Okay, great. Well, once again, thank you, and I'm already looking forward to next time.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks so much. It was great talking to you.
Great talking to you too. All right, and that does it for this episode of Instrumental Intel. I've been your host, music producer Chick with Beats, and I want to thank you once again for tuning in. I want to thank my special guest, Sappy, for joining us and sharing his wisdom, knowledge, and experience. And of course, I want to thank my home station, Grander Radio, out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I'm really excited to be bringing you another episode next week. It's going to be filled with more goodness, so make sure that you come back. Till then, you know where to find me. Tune in, tell a friend. I'll see you then. Peace.